Hi, I'm Bernard Sheridan. I'd like to welcome you back to the Swinguru tutorials. And today what we're going to look at is something just a little bit different. And the reason why is I've gotten a few questions in as to 2D and 3D and what's going on in Swinguru with that. And also why in the 2D some of the pictures or the frames are blurred a little bit. So as we look at the system here, what we're going to see is that up in the top right corner here I have the 2D, and then down here in a larger frame I have the 3D model. So the first thing that we want to understand about the difference between the two of these is that in the 2D model we can only see one angle. In the 3D model, we can see several angles by toggling this little icon up at the top of the frame. And what that's going to do is it's going to actually let us kind of view this in 3 dimensions in 270-degree circle, which is not really a full circle, but it is 270 degrees. So we're seeing a tremendous amount more here in the positions as to what's going on. Now, both of these record at 30 frames a second, but here is the big difference. In the two-dimensional, at 30 frames a second, and let's just go pull this here to about half speed. So just hang on 1 second, we'll get in here. We just have to frame this up a little bit. And that's just the recording device that we're using. And let's move this up to about 50%, and we'll get this back into the frame here. All right, so essentially what we're going to see, let's move this. Get this getting a little bit out of sync here, but no problem. We can adjust this. Okay, so we're ready to take a look now. So as we let this play, okay, what we're going to see is the model at half speed. Now, if I stop this anywhere in between, especially in the downswing, because the downswing is always faster, what we're seeing here is a little bit of a blur, and we'll pull up the 2D view. In the 2D view, we're seeing some blurring, okay? Now, the difference in the 3D view is we're not seeing that blurring. We're really seeing what's going on with the hands and with the body and the positions that the player is in at this point of the swing. So we can see here that at impact, we're starting to see a little bit of a breakdown of the left wrist. When we look at that in 2D, we're losing that, okay? So here's the thing. In 2D, there's going to be blurring because it's not catching every frame and then rendering it into a 3D model. So when we're in the 3D model, it's still seeing in 30 frames a second, but it is rendering each frame as it is being recorded, and it's showing the exact position that the player is in at that frame. So if you're going to look at these in breakdown frames, the best place to look at it is in the 3D model. And the main reason why for that is that in 2D, you have to really get a lot more frames per second to see this information. So the object also of the Swinguru is that we can now take this 3D model and manipulate it and look at it from different angles, which is impossible to do with 2D. So this is starting to get 2D to be obsolete. So the only thing that's happening with 2D that we're really concerned about in Swinguru is using the 2D as a reference so that we can kind of see the player, and when we're setting them up and getting them prepared to hit balls and we're framing in our camera and things of that nature, the 2D is a good way to do that. And if we just want to look at the player face on and see some of the things that they're doing, then we can go to 2D. But really, even in that situation, unless we're going to higher frames per second, we're kind of losing the things that we gain with the 3D model. And that, I believe, is pretty much the reason why if you are using Swinguru, why you are. Because you're getting 3D, and that's really what you're trying to get out of this, because you're gathering so much more information, also looking at the data table too. Now, we can see all that data table when we're looking at 2D if we just open up the data table, which would be, of course, if we take let's say, this frame and turn it into data. Now we're seeing that information and the 2D and the 3D. So, and then, of course, we talked about this before. If you make it 4, now we're seeing all of it. All right. So I prefer using this 3 position, and then usually when I'm doing a breakdown, I'll use this bottom frame to change back and forth from what I want to see. Do I want to see the balance of the player and their center of gravity? Do I want to see the data table? Do I want to see maybe down the line or from behind or overhead? So I'll pull any one of those. I'll use my front larger picture of the 3D model, and then I'll use this to toggle that information around so that I really know what the player is doing, and then I can kind of go right frame through frame and see that so much better in a clear, unblurred version of a model of the player. So hopefully this will clear up for some of you who are, worried about the 2D factor. Here's the other thing too. With the 2D factor, when we're using two-dimensional cameras, if the view is not exactly correct, then what we're doing is we can't really see all the information, the true information that we're trying to gather. So in other words, if the 2D angle is a little bit off in, let's say, a down-the-line video of 2D, then we're not really seeing if the player is really on plane. But in the 3D, now that we have a face on, we can look down the line with the 3D model and gather the real information that's happening there with that player. So this is why 3D is making 2D obsolete with Swinguru, and especially that it's markerless. So that means your player is free to swing just like he is on a 2D camera, and we're capturing so much more information. So hopefully this has helped, and if you have any questions, remember you can contact me through email at parbreakers@gmail.com, and I will be happy to answer any questions that you have. So I'm Bernard Sheridan for Parbreakers Golf Academy, and as the R&D field consultant of Swinguru, I'll see you next time in our tutorial series.